A monk looked at a dying tree and smiled. His student asked, "Why are you smiling? The tree is dying." The monk replied, "No, the tree is teaching." "Teaching what?" "That everything falls apart. Only those who accept this find peace." Most people spend their lives fighting change, fighting loss, fighting reality, and that fight becomes their suffering. But what if the secret to mastering your mind is not controlling life, but learning how to remain calm while life refuses to be controlled? When everything falls apart, your real self finally has a chance to emerge. There comes a moment in many people's lives when everything they thought was stable suddenly begins to crumble. A relationship ends. A dream fails. A career path disappears. A plan that took years to build falls apart in a matter of days. And in that moment, it can feel as though life is turning against you. You begin asking questions that have no easy answers. Why is this happening? Why now? Why does it seem like everything is being taken away at once? The mind immediately interprets collapse as disaster. It sees loss and assumes something has gone terribly wrong. It sees uncertainty and believes danger is everywhere. It sees change and starts preparing for the worst. This is why periods of collapse often feel so painful. Not only are you dealing with the event itself, but you are also dealing with the endless stories your mind creates around it. You start imagining a hopeless future. You replay the past over and over. You wonder what you should have done differently. You compare your life to other people's lives. And before long, your suffering becomes much larger than the situation itself. But Buddhism offers a completely different way of seeing these moments. According to Buddhist wisdom, some of the most important transformations in life begin with the destruction of illusion. This sounds strange at first. After all, who wants their life to fall apart? Who wants uncertainty? Who wants loss? Yet when we look closely, we discover that many of the things we depend on are temporary by nature. Relationships change, people leave, money comes and goes, success rises and falls, health changes, circumstances shift. Nothing remains exactly the same forever. The Buddha taught that one of the deepest causes of suffering is our attempt to find permanent security in things that are naturally impermanent. Think about that for a moment. Many people spend their entire lives building their identity around things that can disappear at any time. Some build their identity around a relationship. Others build it around success. Others build it around being admired by others. Others build it around possessions, status, or achievements. There is nothing wrong with enjoying these things. The problem begins when you believe they are who you are. The problem begins when your entire sense of self depends on something outside of yourself. Because the moment that thing changes, your identity begins to shake. Suddenly, you do not just lose a job. You lose the version of yourself that was attached to that job. You do not just lose a relationship. You lose the identity you created around that relationship. You do not just lose a dream. You lose the future you imagined for yourself. And that is why collapse feels so devastating. It feels as though a part of you is dying. From a Buddhist perspective, something is dying. But it is not your true self. It is the false self. It is the collection of attachments, expectations, labels, and illusions that you mistook for who you really are. This process is painful because the ego resists it. The ego wants certainty. The ego wants control. The ego wants everything to stay exactly as it is. But life refuses to cooperate. Life keeps changing. Life keeps moving. Life keeps teaching the same lesson again and again. Nothing can be held forever. And when we fight this truth, suffering grows. Imagine trying to hold water tightly in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Life often works the same way. The tighter you cling to people, outcomes, possessions, and expectations, the more fear you experience. Fear of losing them, fear of change, fear of uncertainty, fear of what comes next. But there is another possibility. Instead of seeing collapse as punishment, you can begin seeing it as revelation. Because when everything familiar disappears, something unexpected happens. You finally get the opportunity to meet yourself. Not the version created by society, not the version defined by achievements, not the version validated by other people, the real you, the awareness beneath all the labels, the presence beneath all the roles, the consciousness that remains even when circumstances change. This is why some of the wisest people in the world were transformed by hardship, not because suffering itself is magical, but because suffering stripped away everything false. It forced them to stop running. It forced them to look within. It forced them to ask deeper questions. Who am I when success disappears? Who am I when people leave? Who am I when my plans fail? Who am I without the things I thought I needed? Most people never ask these questions because life never forces them to. They stay distracted. They stay busy. They stay attached. But when everything falls apart, those distractions begin to disappear. And in the silence that follows, something profound can emerge. Wisdom, clarity, awareness, freedom. The Buddha himself discovered this truth. Before his awakening, he lived surrounded by comfort, luxury, and pleasure. Yet, despite having everything the world could offer, he still felt something was missing. It was only when he confronted suffering directly that his journey toward enlightenment truly began. This does not mean you should seek suffering. It means you should not waste it. Every challenge contains a lesson. Every ending contains a beginning. Every collapse contains an invitation to wake up, an invitation to see life more clearly, an invitation to stop searching for security in things that were never meant to last. Perhaps the reason this chapter of your life feels so difficult is because something false is being removed. Perhaps life is clearing away an identity that no longer serves you. Perhaps the person you are becoming cannot emerge until the person you have been finally lets go. So if your life feels uncertain right now, do not rush to label this moment as failure. Do not assume that everything is falling apart for no reason. Sometimes what feels like destruction is actually transformation. Sometimes what feels like an ending is the beginning of wisdom. And sometimes the most important version of yourself only appears after everything you thought you needed has disappeared. The storm may not be here to destroy you. It may be here to reveal you. The hidden reason suffering keeps returning to your life. Have you ever noticed that certain struggles seem to follow you wherever you go? The faces change, the circumstances change, the locations change, the years pass. Yet somehow the same pain keeps appearing in different forms. Perhaps it is disappointment, perhaps it is loneliness, perhaps it is rejection, perhaps it is fear, insecurity, anger, or anxiety. You solve one problem only to find another waiting around the corner. You overcome one obstacle, and life presents a new challenge. After a while, you begin asking yourself a difficult question. Why does this keep happening? Why does suffering never seem to end? Many people spend their lives believing that peace exists somewhere in the future. They tell themselves, "I'll be happy when I have more money. I'll be happy when I find the right relationship. I'll be happy when my problems disappear. I'll be happy when life finally becomes easy." But years pass, circumstances change, goals are achieved, and yet the mind continues searching for the next thing. This is one of the deepest insights in Buddhism. The Buddha observed that human beings often live in a cycle of endless craving. We constantly believe that the next achievement, the next possession, the next relationship, or the next experience will finally complete us. But the satisfaction never lasts. For a brief moment we feel fulfilled. Then the mind begins searching again. This cycle repeats endlessly. That is why suffering often returns. Not because life is against you, not because you are cursed, not because you are unlucky, but because the mind keeps searching for permanent happiness in things that cannot provide it. Imagine trying to fill a bucket that has a hole at the bottom. No matter how much water you pour into it, it never stays full. This is how many people approach happiness. They keep adding more things to their lives while ignoring the deeper issue within themselves. The external world changes, but the habits of the mind remain the same. And wherever the mind goes, suffering follows. This is why two people can experience the same situation and react completely differently. One person sees loss and becomes bitter. Another sees loss and becomes wiser. One person experiences failure and gives up. Another uses failure as fuel for growth. The event itself is not always the source of suffering. Often it is the way the mind relates to the event. The Buddha compared this to being struck by two arrows. The first arrow is unavoidable pain. The second arrow is the suffering we create through resistance, fear, blame, self-pity, and endless mental storytelling. Life may shoot the first arrow, but most of the time, we shoot the second one ourselves. We replay painful memories. We imagine worst-case scenarios. We compare ourselves to others. We become trapped in regret about the past and fear about the future. Without realizing it, we turn moments of pain into years of suffering. But what if suffering is trying to teach you something? What if every recurring challenge contains a lesson that remains unfinished? Life has a strange way of repeating lessons until they are understood. If attachment is the lesson, attachment keeps appearing. If forgiveness is the lesson, opportunities to forgive keep appearing. If patience is the lesson, situations requiring patience continue showing up. The forms may change, but the lesson remains the same. This is why wisdom is more valuable than comfort. Comfort only hides suffering temporarily. Wisdom transforms your relationship with suffering entirely. The moment you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" everything begins to change. Your pain becomes a teacher. Your challenges become opportunities. Your struggles become stepping stones toward awakening. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: suffering is not your enemy. Unconsciousness is. The more aware you become of your thoughts, attachments, fears, and desires, the less power suffering has over you. You may still experience pain. You may still face loss. You may still encounter difficulties, but you will no longer be trapped by them. You will begin seeing them for what they are: temporary visitors on the path of life. And the moment you learn the lesson they came to teach, they lose their ability to control you. Your mind becomes a prison the moment you believe every thought. Right now, thousands of thoughts pass through your mind every single day. Some are useful, some are meaningless, some are wise, some are completely false. Yet most people never stop to question them. They simply believe whatever appears in their minds. And this is where suffering begins. Imagine sitting alone in a quiet room. Nothing dangerous is happening. No one is attacking you. Nothing is threatening your safety. Yet suddenly a thought appears. What if I fail? Then another. What if nobody believes in me? Then another. What if things never get better? Within minutes, your body feels tense. Your emotions change. Your energy drops. Fear begins to grow. But notice something important. Nothing in reality has changed. Only your thoughts have changed. And yet those thoughts have completely altered your experience. This is why Buddhism places so much emphasis on observing the mind. The Buddha understood something that most people never realize. A thought is not necessarily the truth. A thought is simply a mental event. It appears, it stays for a moment, then it disappears, just like clouds moving across the sky. The problem begins when you mistake every cloud for the sky itself. Many people spend their entire lives trapped inside stories created by their own minds. They constantly tell themselves, "I am not good enough. I always fail. People do not respect me. My future is hopeless. I will never be happy." After repeating these thoughts enough times, they begin to feel true. But repetition does not create truth. It only creates familiarity. The mind becomes conditioned to believe whatever it hears most often. This is why negative thinking can become so powerful. Not because it is accurate, but because it is repeated. Imagine living in a house where a loudspeaker constantly broadcasts criticism 24 hours a day. Eventually, you would start believing it. That is exactly what happens when you never question your thoughts. The voice in your head becomes the ruler of your life, and without realizing it, you become a prisoner of fear, a prisoner of doubt, a prisoner of worry, a prisoner of imagined futures that may never happen. The Buddha taught that awareness is the key that unlocks this prison. The moment you become aware of a thought, a gap appears. You no longer have to obey it automatically. You can simply observe it. You can watch it come and go. You can recognize that it is only a thought, not a command, not a prophecy, not your identity. Think of yourself sitting beside a river. Every thought is like a leaf floating past on the water. Most people jump into the river and get carried away by every leaf. Awareness allows you to remain on the shore. You watch the thoughts pass by without becoming trapped in them. This does not mean you stop thinking. It means you stop being controlled by thinking. That distinction changes everything. When fear appears, you notice it. When anger appears, you notice it. When worry appears, you notice it. Instead of becoming the emotion, you become the observer of the emotion. And in that observation, freedom begins. The mind loses its power to dominate you. You stop reacting automatically. You stop believing every story. You stop treating every thought as reality. Gradually, a profound peace begins to emerge. Not because life becomes perfect, not because problems disappear, but because you finally understand that your thoughts are visitors, not masters. The prison door was never locked. You simply believed the voice that told you it was. And the moment you stop believing every thought, the walls begin to disappear. The need to control life is the root of inner chaos. One of the greatest sources of suffering is not what happens to you. It is your demand that life happen differently. Most people spend years trying to control things that were never meant to be controlled. They try to control other people's opinions. They try to control the future. They try to control outcomes. They try to control how quickly success arrives. They try to control who stays and who leaves. They try to control every detail of life so they can finally feel safe. At first, this seems reasonable. After all, who doesn't want certainty? Who doesn't want guarantees? Who doesn't want life to go according to plan? But here is the problem. Life has never promised certainty. Life has never promised control. Life is movement. Life is change. Life is unpredictability. And the moment you demand that reality obey your expectations, suffering begins. Imagine standing in the ocean and trying to stop the waves with your hands. You can fight them. You can scream at them. You can demand they disappear. But the waves will continue arriving. Not because the ocean is cruel, because that is simply the nature of the ocean. Life works the same way. People change, circumstances change, opportunities come and go, health changes, relationships evolve, entire chapters of your life begin and end. The problem is not that change exists. The problem is that the mind wants permanence in an impermanent world. This creates a constant state of tension. You become attached to specific outcomes. You tell yourself, this must happen. This cannot fail. This person must stay. My future must look exactly like this. And when reality refuses to cooperate, frustration appears, then anxiety, then fear, then disappointment. The suffering is not coming from reality itself. It is coming from your resistance to reality. The Buddha taught that attachment is one of the primary causes of suffering. Attachment is not love. Attachment is not appreciation. Attachment is the belief that your happiness depends on something remaining exactly as it is. And that belief is incredibly fragile, because everything changes. The person you love will change. Your body will change. Your circumstances will change. Even your desires will change. Nothing remains frozen forever. The wise person understands this truth and learns to flow with life instead of fighting it. Think about a tree during a powerful storm. A rigid tree resists every gust of wind. It refuses to bend. It fights the storm with all its strength, and often it breaks. Meanwhile, a flexible tree bends with the wind. It adapts, it moves, it allows the storm to pass through. And because of this flexibility, it survives. Many people approach life like the rigid tree. They resist every unexpected event. They resist every disappointment. They resist every ending. They resist every uncertainty. And in doing so, they create enormous inner suffering. But Buddhism teaches a different path. The path of acceptance. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean refusing to improve your life. Acceptance simply means seeing reality clearly before trying to respond to it. It means acknowledging what is happening instead of arguing with what is happening. There is tremendous freedom in this. The moment you stop demanding that life follow your script, a huge weight begins to lift. You no longer waste energy fighting reality. You no longer exhaust yourself trying to control every outcome. You begin focusing on what is actually within your power, your actions, your effort, your character, your mindset, your response. These are things you can influence. The rest belongs to life. The more deeply you understand this, the calmer your mind becomes. Because true peace does not come from controlling life. True peace comes from realizing that you do not need to. The river does not suffer because it flows. The wind does not suffer because it changes direction. Nature accepts movement. Nature accepts uncertainty. Nature accepts change. And the closer you align yourself with that truth, the lighter your life becomes. You stop fighting every wave. You stop demanding guarantees. You stop carrying the impossible burden of controlling the uncontrollable. And in that surrender, you discover a kind of strength that force could never provide. What destroys most people is not pain, but their resistance to it. Most people believe pain is their greatest enemy. They spend their lives trying to avoid it. They distract themselves from it. They run from it. They bury it. They numb it. They do everything possible to escape uncomfortable emotions. But according to Buddhist wisdom, pain itself is rarely the true problem. The real problem is resistance. The real problem is the war we start against pain. Think about what happens when something difficult enters your life. Perhaps you experience rejection. Perhaps you lose someone you love. Perhaps a dream falls apart. Perhaps life simply does not go the way you expected. The initial pain is natural. Every human being experiences pain. No amount of wisdom can completely remove that. But then something else happens. The mind begins fighting reality. This should not have happened. This is unfair. I cannot accept this. Why me? When will this end? Instead of experiencing the pain directly, we start resisting it. And that resistance multiplies suffering. Imagine sinking into quicksand. Your first instinct might be to panic and struggle, but the more violently you fight, the deeper you sink. Pain often works the same way. The harder you resist it, the stronger it becomes. The more you try to suppress it, the more power it gains over you. This is why people can carry emotional wounds for years. Not because the original event lasted for years, but because resistance kept the wound alive. They continue replaying the story. They continue reliving the hurt. They continue arguing with the past. And without realizing it, they become prisoners of a moment that has already ended. The Buddha discovered something revolutionary. He realized that suffering decreases when resistance decreases. This does not mean pain magically disappears. It means your relationship with pain changes. Instead of running from it, you face it. Instead of suppressing it, you acknowledge it. Instead of fearing it, you learn from it. Imagine standing in the rain. You can spend hours shouting at the sky. You can complain about the weather. You can demand sunshine. Or you can simply recognize that it is raining. The moment you stop fighting reality, your suffering immediately decreases. The rain may still be there, but the struggle against the rain ends. Many people never allow themselves to feel their emotions honestly. They fear sadness, they fear grief, they fear disappointment, they fear vulnerability, so they spend years building walls around their hearts. But every wall built to block pain also blocks growth. Every wall built to avoid suffering also limits freedom. Healing begins the moment you stop running. Healing begins the moment you sit quietly with your experience and allow it to exist. Not forever, not as your identity, but as a temporary visitor. This is one of the most powerful truths in Buddhism. Everything that arises eventually passes away. Every emotion, every fear, every disappointment, every storm. No feeling lasts forever. Yet when we resist emotions, we often trap them inside ourselves. We refuse to let them complete their natural cycle. Awareness changes everything. The next time pain appears, instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this?" ask a different question. What is this trying to teach me? Perhaps it is teaching patience. Perhaps it is teaching compassion. Perhaps it is teaching strength. Perhaps it is teaching detachment. Perhaps it is teaching you that your happiness cannot depend entirely on external circumstances. Every challenge carries wisdom hidden within it. Those who resist only see the pain. Those who remain aware discover the lesson. And over time, this changes the entire way you experience life. You stop viewing pain as an enemy. You stop treating discomfort as a disaster. You stop running from every difficult emotion. Instead, you begin walking through life with courage, not because life becomes easy, but because you know you can face whatever comes. You understand that pain is temporary. You understand that growth often emerges from discomfort. And most importantly, you understand that what destroys most people is not the storm itself. It is the endless struggle against the storm. The moment you stop fighting every wave, you discover that you are far stronger than you ever imagined. The moment you master your reactions, you reclaim your power. Most people believe power comes from controlling other people. They think power means winning every argument. They think power means always being respected, always being admired, always getting what they want. But Buddhism teaches something very different. According to the Buddha, the person who conquers 1,000 enemies is not as powerful as the person who conquers themselves. Think about that for a moment. Many people spend their entire lives trying to control the world around them while remaining completely controlled by what happens inside them. A stranger says something rude and their entire day is ruined. Someone criticizes them and they carry the pain for weeks. A small inconvenience occurs and anger takes over, A disappointment appears and hopelessness follows. An unexpected problem arrives and panic begins to spread through the mind. From the outside, these reactions may seem normal. In fact, most people never question them. But Buddhism asks a profound question. If your emotional state can be controlled by every person, event, and circumstance around you, are you truly free? Or are you living as a prisoner of your reactions? This is one of the most important lessons you will ever learn. There is a huge difference between what happens to you and how you respond to what happens to you. Most people never notice this difference. They assume their emotions are automatically created by external events. They say things like, "He made me angry. She made me feel worthless. They ruined my day. This situation is making me miserable." But if that were completely true, every person would react to the same situation in exactly the same way. Yet that is clearly not what happens. One person faces criticism and becomes stronger. Another person faces criticism and falls apart. One person experiences failure and becomes determined. Another person experiences failure and gives up. One person loses everything and discovers wisdom. Another person loses everything and becomes bitter. The event is the same. The reaction is different, and that difference changes everything. The Buddha understood that suffering often begins in the small space between an event and our response. Unfortunately, most people move through life so unconsciously that they never see that space. Something happens, they react immediately. Someone insults them, they react. Someone disagrees with them, they react. Something goes wrong, they react. A fear appears, they react. A negative thought appears, they react. Their entire lives become a chain of automatic responses. Like leaves being blown by the wind, they are constantly pushed around by circumstances beyond their control. But awareness creates another possibility. Awareness slows everything down. Awareness allows you to observe what is happening before becoming consumed by it. Imagine a spark landing in a dry forest. If nobody notices it, the spark grows into a fire. The fire becomes larger. Soon the entire forest is burning. This is how emotional reactions often work. A small irritation appears, then anger grows. A small fear appears, then anxiety grows. A small disappointment appears, then hopelessness grows. The initial spark was small, but because it was unconscious, it became something much larger. Awareness allows you to see the spark before it becomes a wildfire. The moment you become aware of your reaction, you gain a choice, and that choice is where freedom begins. You no longer have to obey every emotion. You no longer have to believe every thought. You no longer have to act on every impulse. You can pause, you can breathe, you can observe, you can choose. This sounds simple, but it is one of the most powerful skills a human being can develop. Think about how much suffering is created by unconscious reactions, arguments that never needed to happen, relationships damaged by words spoken in anger, opportunities lost because of fear, years wasted carrying resentment. Countless people destroy their own peace, not because life is attacking them, but because they never learned how to respond wisely. The Buddha often taught that anger is like picking up a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. Before it harms them, it burns you. This is exactly what happens when you react without awareness. The first victim of your anger is always you. The first victim of your resentment is always you. The first victim of your fear is always you. This does not mean emotions are bad. Buddhism never teaches emotional suppression. The goal is not to become cold, numb, or disconnected. The goal is understanding. The goal is awareness. The goal is learning to experience emotions without becoming enslaved by them. Imagine sitting beside a river. The water continues flowing. Leaves drift past. Branches drift past. Sometimes the water is calm. Sometimes it moves rapidly. But you remain seated on the shore, observing. Your emotions can be approached in the same way. Anger arises. You observe it. Fear arises. You observe it. Sadness arises. You observe it. You stop identifying completely with every emotional state. You stop saying, "I am anger." Instead, you recognize anger is present. You stop saying, "I am fear." Instead, you recognize fear is present. This small shift changes your entire relationship with your inner world. Because once you become the observer, emotions lose much of their power to control you. The storm may still exist, but you are no longer trapped inside the storm. You are watching it, learning from it, understanding it, and allowing it to pass. This is how real strength develops. Most people think strength means never feeling fear. But true strength is remaining steady even when fear appears. Most people think strength means never feeling anger. But true strength is refusing to become controlled by anger. Most people think strength means always being confident. But true strength is acting wisely even when confidence disappears. The strongest people are not those who experience fewer emotions. The strongest people are those who have learned how to relate to emotions skillfully. They understand that every feeling is temporary. They understand that every reaction contains a choice. They understand that their peace is too valuable to hand over to every passing circumstance. Imagine how different your life would become if you truly mastered this lesson. What if criticism no longer controlled your mood? What if setbacks no longer destroyed your confidence? What if other people's opinions no longer dictated your self-worth? What if difficult situations no longer immediately triggered panic and fear? How much energy would you regain? How much peace would you recover? How much freedom would you experience? This is the gift of mastering your reactions. You stop living at the mercy of the outside world. You stop depending on circumstances for emotional stability. You stop allowing temporary events to determine your inner state. Instead, you become rooted within yourself, like a mountain standing through changing seasons. Storms arrive, storms leave, winds blow, rain falls, snow comes. The mountain remains. This is the mind Buddhism invites you to cultivate. Not a mind without challenges, not a mind without emotions, but a mind that remains steady in the middle of them. Because the moment you stop reacting automatically, you reclaim something priceless, your power. And once that power returns to you, the world loses its ability to shake you so easily. You begin living from wisdom rather than impulse, from awareness rather than habit, from inner strength rather than external circumstances. And that is the moment true freedom begins. The peace you seek has never existed outside of you. If there is one illusion that keeps millions of people trapped in suffering, it is the belief that peace exists somewhere outside of themselves. From a very young age, most people are taught to search for happiness in the external world. They are told that fulfillment will arrive when they achieve enough, earn enough, own enough, or become enough. As children, they think happiness is waiting in the future. As teenagers, they believe happiness is found through acceptance and approval. As adults, they chase success, relationships, possessions, status, and achievements. And throughout this entire journey, a silent assumption remains hidden in the background. Once I get what I want, I will finally be at peace. This belief becomes the driving force behind countless decisions. People spend years pursuing goals because they believe those goals will complete them. They work exhausting hours because they believe success will bring lasting fulfillment. They enter relationships believing another person will remove their loneliness. They accumulate possessions believing more ownership will create more happiness. They seek validation, believing approval will finally make them feel worthy. Yet something strange keeps happening. Even when people achieve what they wanted, the peace they expected rarely lasts. The excitement fades, the satisfaction fades, the novelty fades, and soon the mind begins searching again. Another goal, another desire, another achievement, another solution, another promise of future happiness. This cycle continues endlessly. The Buddha observed this pattern thousands of years ago. He saw that human beings were constantly chasing satisfaction while remaining internally restless. They believed fulfillment was always one step ahead, always somewhere else, always hidden in the next accomplishment. But what if the problem is not that you have not found peace? What if the problem is that you have been looking in the wrong place? Imagine a person searching everywhere for a pair of glasses. They look in every room. They search every drawer. They become frustrated and exhausted. Hours pass. Then someone points out that the glasses have been resting on their head the entire time. The search was unnecessary because the object being sought was already present. In many ways, this is what Buddhism teaches about peace. Most people search for it everywhere, except within themselves. They assume peace will arrive after circumstances improve. But circumstances are always changing. Life never reaches a point where every problem disappears. Even the richest people face challenges. Even the most successful people experience uncertainty. Even the most admired people encounter suffering. If peace depends entirely on circumstances, then peace will always remain fragile. It will always be vulnerable to change, and since change is unavoidable, anxiety becomes inevitable. This is why external success alone can never guarantee inner freedom. You may gain everything the world offers and still feel restless. You may achieve every goal and still feel incomplete. You may receive endless praise and still feel insecure. Because external achievements can improve comfort, but they cannot replace inner peace. The Buddha taught that true peace emerges when you stop depending on the external world to create an internal state. This does not mean rejecting success. It does not mean abandoning relationships. It does not mean refusing pleasure or joy. It simply means recognizing that none of these things can permanently provide what only inner awareness can provide. Think about how often the mind postpones happiness. It says, "I'll relax after this problem is solved. I'll be happy when I earn more money. I'll feel secure when people appreciate me. I'll have peace when life becomes easier." But life keeps changing the conditions. One problem disappears and another appears. One goal is achieved and another emerges. One desire is fulfilled and another takes its place. The finish line keeps moving. And because the finish line keeps moving, peace remains out of reach. The mind becomes trapped in a constant state of becoming, always chasing, always striving, always waiting, never arriving. This is one of the deepest forms of suffering. Not because striving itself is wrong, but because the mind begins believing that happiness exists somewhere other than here, somewhere other than now, somewhere other than within. Buddhist wisdom gently challenges this assumption. It asks a powerful question. What if nothing is missing from this moment except your awareness of it? Most people rarely experience the present moment directly. Their bodies are here, but their minds are elsewhere. They are replaying yesterday. They are worrying about tomorrow. They are comparing themselves to others. They are imagining different futures. They are mentally living everywhere except where life is actually happening. As a result, they miss the only place where peace can truly be experienced, the present moment. Peace is not hidden in the future. Peace is found in your relationship with this moment, right now. Not next week, Not next year, not after your next achievement, right now. This truth can feel almost unbelievable because the mind has spent so many years searching elsewhere. But if you pay close attention, you may begin to notice something extraordinary. There are brief moments when the mind becomes quiet. Perhaps while watching a sunset, perhaps while sitting in nature, perhaps while listening to rainfall, perhaps during meditation, perhaps during a moment of complete presence. In those moments, nothing external has necessarily changed. Your problems may still exist. Your responsibilities may still exist. Your uncertainties may still exist. Yet peace appears. Why? Because for a brief moment, the mind stops fighting reality. For a brief moment, the endless search ends. For a brief moment, awareness returns to the present, and peace naturally reveals itself. This is one of Buddhism's most profound insights. Peace is not something you create. Peace is something you uncover. It exists beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the endless mental activity, beneath the constant search for more. Imagine a lake during a storm. The surface becomes turbulent. The water appears chaotic. Waves move in every direction. Yet deep beneath the surface, the water remains calm. Your mind is similar. Thoughts create waves. Emotions create waves. Desires create waves. Fears create waves. But beneath all of that movement, there is a deeper stillness, a deeper awareness, a deeper presence. Most people never discover it because they spend their entire lives focused on the surface. They become hypnotized by every thought, every emotion, every fear, every desire, and so they never experience the stillness beneath. Meditation exists for this reason, not to create peace, but to reveal the peace that is already there. Every time you sit quietly and observe your mind, you begin recognizing something important. You are not the noise. You are the awareness observing the noise. You are not every passing thought. You are the consciousness witnessing those thoughts. You are not every temporary emotion. You are the presence that remains while emotions come and go. This realization changes everything. Because once you stop identifying with every mental movement, you begin touching a deeper level of peace. A peace that is not dependent on circumstances. A peace that is not dependent on approval. A peace that is not dependent on success. A peace that remains available even during difficult times. This does not mean life becomes perfect. Storms will still come. Losses will still happen. Challenges will still arise. But your relationship with those experiences changes. You stop expecting the external world to complete you. You stop demanding that life be perfect before allowing yourself to feel at peace. You stop postponing happiness until some future condition is met. Instead, you begin discovering a quiet strength within yourself, a place untouched by success and failure, untouched by praise and criticism, untouched by gain and loss. The world may continue changing. People may continue coming and going. Circumstances may continue shifting. But something within you remains steady. And the more deeply you connect with that inner stillness, the more you realize a truth that Buddhism has taught for centuries. The peace you have been searching for your entire life was never hiding in the world. It was waiting quietly within you all along. Become so strong inside that no storm can disturb your mind throughout your life. Storms will come. Some storms will arrive without warning. A relationship you thought would last forever may suddenly end. A person you love may walk away. A dream you spent years building may collapse. Your health may change. Your circumstances may shift. The future you imagined may disappear before your eyes. No matter how carefully you plan your life, you cannot prevent every storm. This is one of the most important truths the Buddha wanted people to understand. Life is uncertain. Life is constantly changing. Life cannot be controlled. Most people spend years trying to build a life without storms. They believe happiness will finally arrive once all problems disappear. They think peace is something that comes after uncertainty ends. They imagine that one day they will reach a place where nothing difficult ever happens again. But that day never comes, because storms are not mistakes in life. Storms are part of life. Even the wisest people face difficulties. Even the strongest people experience loss. Even the most peaceful people encounter pain. The difference is not that they avoid storms. The difference is that they have learned how to remain steady while moving through them. This is the ultimate goal of mastering your mind. Not creating a perfect world, creating a stable inner world. Most people build their emotional lives like houses made of sand. Their peace depends on external conditions. As long as everything goes well, they feel calm. As long as people approve of them, they feel confident. As long as circumstances remain comfortable, they feel secure. But the moment something changes, everything begins to shake. One criticism destroys their confidence. One setback destroys their motivation. One disappointment destroys their peace. One unexpected challenge fills them with fear. Their emotional foundation is weak because it was built on things that constantly change. Buddhism teaches another way. It teaches you to build your inner life like a mountain. A mountain does not ask the weather for permission to stand. A mountain does not panic when clouds appear. A mountain does not collapse because the wind becomes strong. Storms arrive, storms leave, seasons change, temperatures rise and fall, yet the mountain remains. This is the kind of mind you are being invited to develop. A mind that remains grounded regardless of circumstances. A mind that does not depend entirely on external conditions for stability. A mind that understands the difference between experiencing difficulty and becoming destroyed by difficulty. Think about the strongest people you have ever met. Not the loudest people, not the most successful people, not the most powerful people. The strongest people often possess a quiet strength. When challenges arise, they do not immediately panic. When difficulties appear, they do not immediately fall apart. When life becomes uncertain, they do not immediately surrender to fear. This does not mean they never feel emotions. They do. They feel sadness. They feel disappointment. They feel grief. They feel anxiety. But they do not become consumed by those emotions. They allow emotions to move through them without allowing emotions to define them. This distinction is incredibly important. Many people believe emotional strength means never feeling pain. That is impossible. To be human is to feel. To love is to risk loss. To live is to encounter suffering. The Buddha never taught people to become emotionless. He taught them to become aware. There is a huge difference. An emotionless person becomes disconnected from life. An aware person becomes free within life. Freedom does not come from avoiding emotions. Freedom comes from understanding them. Imagine the sky on a stormy day. Dark clouds gather. Thunder appears. Rain begins to fall. The sky allows all of it. Yet the sky itself is never harmed by the storm. The clouds come and go. The sky remains. Your awareness is like that sky. Thoughts are clouds. Emotions are clouds. Fears are clouds. Doubts are clouds. Anger is a cloud. Sadness is a cloud. Anxiety is a cloud. The mistake most people make is believing they are the clouds. So when a dark emotion appears, they immediately think, "This is who I am. I will always feel this way. I am broken. I am lost." But emotions are temporary visitors. They arrive. They stay for a while. Then they leave. The awareness observing them remains. The more deeply you understand this, the more stable your mind becomes. One of the greatest signs of inner strength is the ability to remain present during difficult moments. Most people immediately escape discomfort. They distract themselves. They avoid reality. They seek constant stimulation. They run from silence because silence forces them to face themselves. But growth happens when you stop running. Growth happens when you sit with uncertainty. Growth happens when you allow life to teach you its lessons. Every challenge contains wisdom. Every setback contains insight. Every painful experience contains an opportunity for transformation. The question is whether you are willing to remain present long enough to learn. Many of the strongest people in the world were shaped by storms. Not because storms are pleasant, but because storms reveal what comfort often hides. They reveal your attachments. They reveal your fears. They reveal your habits. They reveal where your sense of self depends too heavily on external conditions. And once these things become visible, transformation becomes possible. This is why difficult periods often become turning points. The person who enters the storm is rarely the same person who leaves it. Challenges force growth. Pain forces reflection. Loss forces wisdom. The storm becomes a teacher, but only for those willing to learn. The Buddha understood that external circumstances will never remain stable. That is why he focused on developing inner stability. If your peace depends on the world behaving exactly as you want, your peace will always remain fragile. The world changes too much. People change too much. Life changes too much. But if your peace comes from awareness, wisdom, and understanding, something remarkable happens. You become resilient, not because life becomes easier, because your relationship with life becomes wiser. You stop expecting permanence from temporary things. You stop demanding certainty from an uncertain world. You stop resisting every uncomfortable experience. And gradually, a deep calm begins to emerge. This calm is different from ordinary happiness. Ordinary happiness often depends on conditions. This calm exists beneath conditions. It remains available during success. It remains available during failure. It remains available during gain. It remains available during loss. It remains available during sunshine and storms alike. This is why Buddhist masters often appear so peaceful. It is not because their lives are free from challenges. It is because they no longer expect challenges to disappear. They have accepted the nature of life. And through that acceptance, they have discovered freedom. The ultimate goal is not to reach a place where nothing bad ever happens. The ultimate goal is to develop a mind that remains steady regardless of what happens. Imagine waking up each day knowing that your peace cannot be stolen by circumstances. Imagine knowing that criticism cannot destroy your worth. Failure cannot destroy your identity. Loss cannot destroy your spirit. Change cannot destroy your stability. Imagine carrying within yourself a strength deeper than fear, a calm deeper than anxiety, a wisdom deeper than uncertainty. This is the path Buddhism points toward. A life where your inner world is no longer controlled by every external event. A life where awareness becomes stronger than reaction. A life where wisdom becomes stronger than fear. A life where peace becomes stronger than circumstances. Because in the end, mastering your mind does not mean controlling the storm. It means becoming so strong within yourself that the storm no longer controls you. And when that happens, you discover a freedom that no circumstance can take away. The winds may continue to blow. The seasons may continue to change. The world may continue to move in unpredictable ways. But deep within you remain steady, like a mountain, like the sky, like a calm lake untouched by the chaos around it. And that is the moment you realize you have truly begun to master your mind. Remember, the goal was never to control every storm. The goal was to become stronger than the storm. Life will continue to change. People will come and go. Challenges will rise and fall. But when your peace comes from within, Nothing outside of you can truly take it away. So walk forward with awareness. Walk forward with patience. And most importantly, remember, a calm mind is the greatest power you will ever possess. Until next time, take a deep breath and return to the present moment.